All of the queue line and station gates inside of the Dragster station are now removed, which definitely means that we will be seeing new trains. But here's a crazy thought. Could Cedar Point be moving the station? Also, the removed launch track is getting shipped off somewhere in shipping containers. Weird. And finally, I share my updated thoughts on if Intamin will be contracted for this project, or could this become a world's first? So much to cover and so little time. Welcome to Theme Park Predictions and more, and let's get into this. So what exactly is Cedar Point up to? As of mid-October, it appears that the track removal on Untitled Dragster has halted, for now at least. In fact, at the time of this video, all the track in blue has been removed. So all that is left is pretty much the enormous 420-foot tall top hat. With new changes being made to Untitled Dragster each week, I wanted to share with you my thoughts on it, because at this point it's hard to make a prediction when the project is currently in the works and we know very little about it. However, with that, I have said since we first found out about Dragster not opening for the 2022 season that we will never ride this coaster as we know it again. Cedar Point would make changes, and that they are. But damn, I still wonder when this will get announced and when the new Dragster will open. A huge shout out goes to Ghoster Coasters on YouTube for sending me this photo of the current look at the station of Dragster. Now I know there's other photos going around on Facebook of this, but as you can see, a lot has changed. So be sure to go give them a sub and follow them on Twitter. Both of those links will be in this video's description because they cover this Dragster coverage like every week, so you don't want to miss out. As you can see, all the queue line, station gates, and railings have been removed from the Dragster station. The removal of the railings is a huge development because this pretty much confirms that there will be new trains for the reimagined Top-Thrill Dragster. I mean, why else would they remove all the station gates and railings if this was not the case? Now, could they keep the same station and just add new gates? Sure, I do see that being a very likely possibility, especially since I am sure Cedar Point has reviewed ways to keep the cost down on this massive project as much as they can. And new trains cost over $1 million each, so I really find this development interesting. We also have to keep in mind that what if Cedar Point decides to remove Dragster Station altogether and rebuild it in the same location or a different one? Now I have to admit, I do find that as a slim possibility, but there's still a chance. However, I do predict that the station will stay in the same location, and since Dragster offers such an iconic looking station, the park will decide to keep it. And all they could be doing is rerouting the queue line and station gates inside of the station. Now, the only reason why they would do this is because the new trains are either longer or shorter. And in my past creations of this project with Escape Designs and Elite Coasters, we created a mock layout that does feature an LSM swing launch, and the trains would hold around 24 riders each. This would really help with the capacity since the old Dragster trains only held 20 riders each. And we pulled the measurements, and there would be enough room for a switch track, swing launch, and vertical spike if Cedar Point went this direction. Now, the new coaster could offer shorter trains, but I doubt that Cedar Point would want to do this for capacity concerns. But something to keep in mind, since LSMs are not as powerful as a hydraulic launch, shorter trains may be needed to get the train over the top hat after all. So maybe they have no choice. Something to keep an eye on, especially since Red Force, a coaster very similar to Dragster, uses the LSMs, and that Intamin coaster only offers 12 riders per train. Now, before I get into the Dragster track getting shipped away, if you're planning a trip to Cedar Point, then be sure to check out my theme park recommendations video about the best places to stay while visiting the point. And you can find a link to that must-watch video full of tips in the description of this video. Over the last week, another very interesting thing happened, and that is another photo being shared on social media which shows off a piece of Dragster's launch track that is getting lowered inside of a shipping container, which tells me that this piece of track is getting ready to get shipped somewhere overseas. But more importantly, it's most likely not getting shipped here in America, because if it was, then I think a simple flatbed truck would do the trick. Another thing to note, S&S Sansei is located in Utah and is rumored to be one of the potential companies that Cedar Fair hired to reimagine Top Thrill Dragster. And while they could still be, this track that is getting shipped overseas will not be used for the new Dragster if that is the case. Now, there is still a chance that all the current 2,800 feet of track does get removed and replaced, so this could still be an S&S or another company's project when all said and done with. However, why would Cedar Point ship the track back to Intamin? And my one thought is this. What if Intamin is modifying the current launch track to feature LSMs? Now, I will be the first to admit I don't have the time to study all the features and designs on Intamin's track that offers LSMs, especially when trying to compare that track with the track that was used for the hydraulic launch. But I gotta say, it is fun to speculate. There are rumors that Intamin has been relieved of their duties for this project. So has anyone else seen or heard this? Because there is nothing in writing, at least that I can find, and I personally think that this is most likely a bogus rumor that someone started up. While I do think it's a possibility that Intamin could not be involved in the reimagining of Dragster, I still find that very unlikely, especially with what we know now. And other reasons why I think that is because why would it make sense, money and stress-wise, for another company to come in and inherit all of Intamin's software, hardware, and technology? Not to mention, but all of the track as well. We have to keep in mind that Top Thrill Dragster is 20 years old, and Northern Ohio winters, especially along the Lake Erie coast, are about as much fun as, let's say, riding the Grizzly at California's Great America. Now, I could be wrong, but at this point, I feel as if Intamin is still a part of the project. But what if, and I do admit this rumor is crazy, but since it's been talked about a lot, especially recently, I feel like I need to at least address it. But what if RMC has been hired to reimagine Top Thrill Dragster and will make it become the world's first RMC T-Rex? Now, with all the teasing that RMC's been doing lately about their T-Rex model, I really do think we will see an announcement of the world's first one before 2024. But in my opinion, Dragster will not become the world's first RMC T-Rex unless Cedar Point is removing the coaster entirely and plans on building a ground-up T-Rex. With that said, I was told some very interesting news this week about another area at Cedar Point that is about to get expanded for a large future project, and more on that exciting development very, very soon. So what do you think? Where is your head at with all the new Dragster news? You know what to do, be sure to let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.